place. So we're going to talk about labels and how to convert them into free floating labels and why you might do that and why you might not. Basically, when you have annoying overlapping labels, and let's create some overlapping labels here. So just because these points are really close to each other in the map, I can be pretty sure that the labels, if I make them, they're going to be right on top of each other. And one of the things that showed that we had them overlapping was the key numbering was on. So I'm going to label things, and I'm going to, since they're on an air photo, I'm going to make them nice and visible with that label. Okay, all right. That is painful. All right, let's label on something that's... I'm not sure that there's anything of interest in here. Status. All right, so let's, just for the sake of this, not really anything that's very good to label. Let's just use, I guess, John's email address. Or let's bring in better data. So let's use points of interest are there? Let's see. 1. It's not going to be helpful. Directional signs must have some information about them. Ooh, fun things. All right, let's see if we can make that work. Okay, I think this might work. Well, anyway, I guess we can start by saying just if you have overlapping labels, this is a way to convert them. So if we just do the same thing, and we're going to make some nice labels here. Okay. So all right, on our map, we have a few things labeled here. We're going to turn on our key numbering to hopefully get it to show us that it's overlapping. Didn't really do it, but that's okay. So if we, I mean, this is a good example. I mean, these aren't the greatest labels, right? There's a whole science behind labeling well, and where you should put labels on a map, but it's basically intuitive. There's not really a right or wrong answer. If you have something like this and you want to make sure these labels are in a good spot, there's a couple of things you can do. One is to set a reference scale, and this might be a little in-depth, but basically, we're not going to go into that. We are just going to talk about converting these things into text. So these are automatic right now, and so if you have data that is being updated often, or if you have a map that is you're going to need to remake a lot, which is done a lot in GIS, you probably want to just try to make the automatic labels be as good as possible. because once you turn these into just free-floating text on the data frame, kind of going backwards for what we just did, first of all, they're only stored in that MXD. So they're not like a data file that you could send to me. We can turn them into a data file in a geodatabase. However, that's harder to manage as well, or it's hard to manage that as well. It's called annotation. But it's also because then your data is not just all being represented. It's like you might just delete one of the labels and then you might just be wrong on your map. But anyway, if you have it labeled and you now have to go to minute 6 in this video to see how to do this, so apologies for that. You can right click on it and you can say convert labels to graphics, convert labels to annotation. Converting features to graphics would just make the actual GIS data pop into the graphics like we kind of showed a second ago. So there's a couple of options. So one is, where do you want to put the annotation? Annotation is just kind of text on a map. So it refers to anything that's on a map. That is a label, basically. We can either store that in a database, in a geodatabase, or just in the map, like I was saying, and that is a little simpler for us right now. And then you can do it for everything or just the things you're looking at currently on the map. And then the other thing to know is that you may have noticed that sometimes labels just don't show up on the map because they're like the features are overlapping. So they just don't even show one. That would be an unplaced annotation. So if you tell it to convert the unplaced ones too, some might pop up that are overlapping that you didn't even know were there. So that's typically, I would do that, because once you convert them, then you can take your drawing tool and you can take your pointer here and you can actually select them and move them wherever you want. So for this class, it's probably a good idea to do this just to make it so you have like nice looking maps. But again, you're just going to be, it's a little bit more dangerous. So, and it's also not great because once you do this, you can't change the size of all the labels all at once, and you can't change the style of all the labels all at once anymore, because they're all disconnected from the actual data, right? Because I could turn that. Oh wow, I didn't expect that. Must be feature linked. Well, anyway, the only way to change the size. Actually, let me see if this works. This might be. No, okay, so you see I changed the size of the labels and they didn't change. You'd have to go in and draw a big box, select them all, and then in the drawing toolbar, you can change the size now that they're all selected. But that would be the only way. And of course, we're only working in our data view here. We can go over into our layout view and see that, this is still kind of really the way if you want to look at your map. I mean, I think, zoom in on that. Oh, there's some over the side there. But if you want to do that, you can just right click on it, on something that's labeled, and say convert labels to, or convert, yeah, labels to annotation. I guess I would say the guideline is wait as long as possible, right? Do all your data work and make your whole layout, and then just know that your last step is going to be manually moving the labels to make them look nice. And then I think that's a good rule of thumb. I think the last thing I wanted to show was if I take these labels and I cut them, so Control X, isn't that copy paste things? Anyway, you can also hit this cut button, and then I go to my layout and I hit paste. Oh, all right, good. That's not going to work. Okay, ignore that. I thought it would work.